So this is what the build turned out. This is the complete build. In the next couple of seconds, gonna show you exactly the full build process step by step. But before we just get into all that, let me just pop up the shopping list that we're gonna need.
So beginning with day one of the project right here, I'm basically making sure I have a straight edge on all the boards. I've cut out my 8 5-foot pieces, and I move on over to start giving an edge on the 3-foot pieces that I also are gonna have 8 in total. And I like to set the wood on top, to give me that supported so it doesn't, splay out. Right here, I am setting up my first frame. You're gonna go ahead and screw in the 3-foot boards on the outside, and the 5-foot boards are gonna be on the inside. Make sure you do that. That way you have your total 5-foot length and 3-foot width on the interior of the frame. So right here, I'm just lining everything up, making sure everything's lined up, and I've begun to make my second frame. As you can see there, my little dog is strolling on by with no care in the world, and I continue to move on. Right here, I'm just making sure that everything's lined up. I noticed that some of the old 2x8s that I had laying around are, dried up and lost their moisture, so they're not as even as the fresh boards that I've purchased. So just was lining everything up as much as I could so it was all level. So right here, I'm building my third frame. I put my second frame to the side, again making sure everything's nice and even and level. Toss my third frame back up and start building on my fourth. Right here, I have my 2x8s that were split in half, or better yet, ripped in half by a neighbor that helped me out. I'm using them to reinforce and combine everything together. It also serves as making it look a little bit more nice. Right here, just continuing to put on the rip boards that were also cut at 45. They weren't perfect. My neighbor did his best. I do cut off the edges just to have a flat surface for those top boards that make it that finished touch and gives you that lip that you want to make sure you want to have, especially with turtles that can be quite, escape artist. Just lining everything up, and this isn't going to be perfect measurements. You kind of got to go off of whatever you're doing and the one's going to fit your needs. Right here, I just kind of clean everything out, prepare my Geotextile fabric, measuring the amount that I'm going to need. I go ahead and set it up. As you can see, I'm folding everything nice and cleanly. As you can see, that stapler comes back and bites me in the you-know-what later on. Just folding everything, stapled everything down so it wouldn't move, and I cut the excess and reuse the excess. I do want to keep in mind that I did end up adding up another layer on the bottom, but right here I take out my liner and I end up using, I believe it was 11 by 9 was the total measurement that I needed. So I cut that out and fold up the rest and put it away for storage. I am going to use that later, and we'll talk about it later. Right here, I was folding all the corners. Make sure you want to have flat, clean angles, and I'm not going to lie here, this was pretty difficult. It was kind of time consuming and frustrating at times. So I'm spending a lot of time trying to make sure the folds are really clean and make sure that no critters, especially turtles, get behind those folds and obviously suffocate and die. So I had a little bit of help of my mom. As you can see, she's helping me out. We spent a lot of time on this part of the pond building process, so might be prepared mentally. And I'll come back, make sure everything's stapled in, and I begin to clean the pond liner. It does have a lot of powdery substance on it. I ended up, as you can see, cleaning up or cutting off some excess pieces, put my top boards, make sure everything's lined up, and I screw them in for good, and just go ahead and clean up or cut off any additional excess liner and Geotextile fabric for that clean look. Remember the stapler? dropped it inside and punctured a hole. This is day 3, so it was a 3-day process. Right here I'm going ahead and painting the pond, kind of like a tan almond style. I don't remember what the name was. I'll make sure to list everything below that I use and including the color. So I'm just painting everything. It was a gloomy day. There was a slight mist, so I waited to paint the top of the pond for this very reason. And right here I'm just making sure all the edges are cleaned up and the corners with my paintbrush, as it's going to be a little bit easier to get to those hard to reach areas with the roller. Right here I needed my brother to carry the pond and put it on the pavers. 2x8 stacked on top of each other. The weight does add up. At this point I started filling up the pond, and as you can see, that's the puncture that I did. I patched that up later, and I'm making my trench for my extension cord, which is rated for outdoor use. My niece comes in and helps me out. She wanted to join in, and at this point I'm painting the interior edges of the top boards, just waiting on that sun to come in and help me dry it off. And at this point I do start painting the top as when the sun comes in, and just finishing up any exterior. I do end up going on a little side project, and with the excess cuts that I had left over, I made a little bench for my niece to be able to go on top and view inside the pond. Not too high so she can't fall in, obviously, but gives her a better view. And I start filling up the pond, half with clean water and the other half with the original pond water, and it is getting dirty. I know you might be tripping out, but this is to add that beneficial bacteria in that's already been cycled before, and this is an established pond, so you want to have as much cycled bacteria that you can, and it'll just jumpstart your new pond. At this point I'm taking out all the rocks and I start cleaning them off, rinsing them off, and making sure all the rocks are nicely clean, not have too much waste. I got the help of my mom to move the old basking platform from the old pond and put it on the new one. I will be upgrading it. I'll talk about that later. And right here I was scooping out mosquito fish. That was pretty hard to scoop out given that the bottom was sand and muck, so it was really hard to find them. I spent a lot of time doing this and making sure that all of them got in safely, even some babies. And at this point I start working on the filter after scooping them up. As you can see here, I'm building it up. This is another temporary filter. I will be upgrading very soon, and I'll probably make another video on that one. It is going to be a bog filter, so stay tuned. Right here I'm just showing you what it ended up turning out. I had to add that Mickey Mouse of a 2x4 so the turtles wouldn't get out, because they did, and they were walking along the edge of the top board. Here's the male red-eared slider enjoying his new pond, and the female on the left here. Fed them some food and they were happy to eat, as these red-eared sliders usually do. And as you can see, the filter is spilling in and providing that oxygen that really is going to help your beneficial bacteria as they need it, and your fish.
So this is the complete finished project, the pond. I don't know, what do you guys think? How did it turn out? It's completely done. It's 280 gallons. And just for reference, this was the old pond that they were in. It's 110 gallons. It was supposed to be actually one extra board of these higher. So it was actually supposed to be 3 foot high, but I didn't realize that I only ended up putting 4 boards, which makes it 2 feet and 6 inches tall. It is 5 feet in length, and it's 3 foot wide. I put these additional boards obviously to give it that lip that it needs. I just transferred this whole piece, the filter and everything, the basking platform. I transferred it from the old pond. This is just a temporary setup. I did mention in the beginning of the video, or it's actually probably mid video too, that I do plan on making this a better or upgrading it. So it's gonna be, I'm gonna upgrade it to a bigger box setup, and using the leftover wood that I had and the liner that I had. So it's gonna be a lot bigger. Especially it'll help with keeping up with this 280 gallon feature, and the turtles can be quite messy. The basking platform, that'll be another separate video that I'll build. I do plan on building like a separate nesting area slash basking area. So stay tuned. That'll be 2 videos that I'll pop up, within a reasonable time frame. I don't want to, give times, but I want to show the full build on how this ended up turning out. But for the meanwhile, I mean, as you can see, the filter is keeping up with the water. It is crystal clear. You already have some algae growth on the liner just within that weight that it's been set up for. The turtles are using the basking platform, and you might be asking again like what this was. This female learned from here to climb here and exit that way. So I just put this temporary. Again, I'm gonna be upgrading it. So this is a temporary setup. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and here's some clips of just pond and the turtles. I forgot to mention, let me break down the cost of everything, like how much everything came out to, like the lumber, just everything in general. I'll go ahead and pop up a screen and I'll go over everything. And the last thing is, I mean, you might be wondering why I did this setup, and in my case it was just because we rent, so this is an easy thing. If I end up moving, I can take it with me.